Oh hey, it's Wes. And what am I doing in this kind of messy production environment? Well, we're gonna get to that because we're gonna be talking about the Andycine 4K C7 field monitor. Except we're not in a field. Again, we'll get to that. Let's hit it. So the Andycine C7 monitor is, well, let's face it, just another field monitor. But what does it give us? Well, it seems like every year we get just a little bit more for our money, a little bit more bang for our buck, and the C7 is just another example of that trend moving forward. Here we have a 1080p bright touchscreen, and I say bright, that's 2200 nits, which is great for fighting against the sun. And it used to be that something at this price point you would never get that kind of brightness, but now you've got some options. It's an IPS display, which generally speaking gives you pretty good colors and contrast, and this thing will consume up to 20 watts of power. That's a lot. And although the weight clocks in at 460 grams, it feels extremely light. Now, it'll get a lot heavier once you slap a couple batteries onto that, and we'll be talking about that soon as well. So, let's start with what's in the box. Where did I put the box? I have a box somewhere here. All right, here we go. This is a very white box. We have an L bracket arm that lets you attach to either side of the display or the bottom, because there's a 1/4-20 on all those sides. Pretty basic, but also very solid. You get mini HDMI, micro HDMI. As you can see, I've mounted this on a little cheapy desk tripod that is not included in the box, just for my own purposes here. So let's start out with the build quality, and this one is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. This thing is plasticky, and I realize that they're doing this for a reason. It's to keep the weight down, to keep the price down. These are two things that they have done a great job of doing. But it does not inspire great confidence. It feels extremely cheap, but it is pretty cheap. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Now, if we look along the bottom here, we see where there could be SDI ports. We'll talk more about that could be circumstance later on. We have 2 HDMI ports. We have a power in and a power out. And surprisingly enough, on the side here, we have an SD card reader so that you can load some LUTs. On the back, of course, you have 2 L-type batteries for Sony F970 they recommend, but you can put any Sony battery of that form factor in there. Along the top, we have some quick custom function buttons and a menu scroll and push button. It's all pretty run-of-the-mill stuff, honestly. Nothing too surprising going on here. So overall, the build quality, it does not impress, nor is it really shocking that it is what it is. Now, I did have that Timber Cod monitor, still weird name, that had a phenomenal build quality, but not a lot of the options that this has, but there are other things out there that are more solid, a lot more solid. Build quality is a 6 out of 10. Image quality. And that's kind of what we're looking for here. It's a display. We want a good display. Although it is an IPS display, going back to the Timber Cod monitor, it actually has a much duller picture than the TFT display in the Timber Cod. So it's not going to wow you or knock your socks off, but it does have 100% Rec. 709 color gamut, very accurate colors once you get things dialed in properly. We have a rated contrast ratio of 1200:1. But I want to talk about that whole dialing in thing. When I first got this monitor, I could not get it dialed in to look accurate. Why was that? Well, let me tell you. Out of the box, it came with the S-Log2 LUT on by default. I should have looked in there, but I just did not expect at all for this to by default have an S-Log LUT installed. Very bizarre. So I fought against that for a while. So if you do get this monitor, be very careful. Make sure that you don't have a LUT installed that you're not currently using, that you don't currently want. For image settings and stuff, you have a lot of different ways that you can customize this to make it look the way that you want it to. So you have sharpness, hue, saturation, brightness. That's all pretty typical though, no surprises, so just watch out for those LUTs. But overall, the image quality, I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. Features, and this has all the features that you could possibly expect, especially at this price point. We've got, as you've already seen, a touchscreen, but it also has quick controls. So on one side, it'll change your volume. On the other side, it'll change your backlight brightness. Double tap to bring up the menu, and that's where you can bring up just a host of different things. Now, we won't go too deep into that just yet because we also have these quick function buttons. One's for mute, one's for monochrome. You can switch through various colors. And one is for waveforms. So here you see you have 3D waveforms, you have color histograms. You've got it all going on right here. Look at me sliding around that 3D waveform. Just beautiful. And then on the right here, you have your quick menu button where you can go through grids, safety markers, so you can size your screen for whatever aspect ratio you're shooting in. Oh, 2.35, wouldn't that just be epic? Center mark. And you can actually matte in, which I did not expect that. That's pretty nice. Quick switch for the LUTs. And you can do false color, which I am breaking all kinds of rules in. I'm sorry, false color. But this is obviously not my studio, so I didn't spend that much time getting this set up to look beautiful. And then, once we go into the menu here, we have some more options that I did not expect. We have mirroring, which is pretty sweet if you're using this on camera. It helps you frame yourself up better. You have anamorphic squeezing, or rather de-squeezing, which is also pretty sweet. So I'm using Sony cameras. If I use S-Log or if I put an anamorphic lens on this, the camera is going to show me something completely messed up. This monitor can take care of that for me. Now, there are a lot of the same settings here that you saw in the quick settings, so we won't go through those. A lot of stuff in here. I don't want to go through everything because this is not a tutorial, this is a review. So anyway, feature set. The only thing that this is actually missing, as I said before, is an SDI input-output, which you can't find at this price point anyway, so it's a 10 out of 10 for features. Usability. We've already been through a lot of how you use this already, and as you can see, we've got quick buttons, we've got an easy on-screen display. I'm only going to dock it 1 point for usability because it came set up a little bit oddly out of the box. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And value. As I said before, this is a cost-effective display. So this comes in at $270. Now, if you look closely at other products that are listed around the same price, you'll find that FeelWorld has a very similar monitor. One might say it's the same one. Now, I don't know this for sure, but it looks very similar. Same price, $270. For $10 less, you can get a non-touch version of this for $260 from FeelWorld. So this isn't an obvious choice. You do have options at the same price. And then you have something like the Lilliput that has a more industrial design, probably better build quality than this for $10 more, but it's a dimmer screen, 1800 candelas. And then FeelWorld has a 6-inch that is brighter at 2600 candelas for $290. So again, there's stuff coming in and around this. It's not an obvious bet, but it is right up there with the best prices. So the value, it's a pretty easy 8 out of 10. So what's that give us? That gives us a total of 41 out of 50, and I have buried the lead in this review. Why are we in this room right now? Because I've tried a few different monitors in this particular setup, and one of the most important things for me is that while I am using this, let me have a better look at what we're doing here. We have an ATEM Mini Pro, and we have the screen here. So we are switching back and forth between various items. And then we have a feed coming out of this that feeds out to other things, and this box streams. There's a lot going on. And what we are doing here needs to be reliable. It's got to be rock solid. And I've passed a few different monitors through this, actual computer monitors, other field displays, and I found that the output HDMI is not always stable. It'll stay on for 15 minutes, a half an hour, and then the signal will drop. Some of them only 30 seconds at a time. And so it just will not repeat the signal reliably until I tried this monitor. Now I don't know if it's not just a passive pass-through. It says it's just a pass-through, but it seems to be re-amplifying the signal, and this has given me what I finally need. So although this is specifically designed as an outdoor monitor, I'm going to probably end up buying more of these so that I can actually use some outdoors, because this has become stuck in my production environment because it works so reliably. I gotta hand it to them. Whatever's going on inside there works so much better than other things that I have tried. I have left the screen protector on this because the production environment I am in regularly gets sanitized. Normally I would do a great peel on this, but I want to leave it on because this gets wiped down with Lysol wipes several times a week. It's doing fine though, so that's fine. Another note, because I'm in a production environment, I am powering this with a 12-volt adapter. Now this is just an adapter that I had kicking around in a box. This doesn't come with one, unfortunately. There are no batteries on this right now, so you can operate it without the batteries. And as you can see in the B-roll, you can also operate it with the batteries. When you are operating it on battery, it only drains one battery at a time. And so if one dies, you can just pull it out, leaving the other one on, and keep on running. So that's a great feature as well. Unfortunately, it won't charge the batteries while it's on. I would love to have that feature, but I don't think any of them do that around this price point, so I can't really knock it for that. So those are my personal notes, as I often do at the end of a video. These are very subjective use cases that I have found myself. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if there's anything else that I should be looking at. Leave me any thoughts or any questions that you have down below in the comment section. I'm always hanging out down there. So, until next time, let's go take some photos and some video. Let's go to program mode and go on a little trip. Well, that was fun. Back out, back in, back out.